Yeah, Gurudev, and thank you for joining us today. So today again we have with us an art of living expert and an officer of the Vedic Dharma Sansthan. With the recent Saptarishi Aarti being conducted at the Art of Living International Center at the Anugrah Mandap on 4th of December for 90 minutes by the revered Pandits from Kashi Vishwanath ji. So today we are going to discuss what does a modern rishi mean. In ancient times, it said that the 88,000 rishis sat together and wrote down so many spiritual texts. So today, in contemporary times, how does a modern rishi look like, and how does Rishi Sunak exemplifies a perfect example of a modern day Raja Rishi? So when we say Jai Gurudev, Rishi Sunak represents a modern day rishi, what does that mean in Sanatan Dharma? Jai Gurudev, in Sanatan Dharma, a rishi is not defined by long hair, forest, or gives. A rishi is defined by clarity of intellect, purity of intention, commitment to duty, and alignment with Dharma. In ancient times, rishis guided kingdoms. Today, they guide nations, corporations, scientific institutions, and global policies. When people see Rishi Sunak balancing spirituality with leadership, they understand that a rishi is one who leads with an awakened mind. He may wear a suit instead of a deer skin, but the essence remains the inner stability, sharp intellect, calmness under pressure, and ethical grounding. A rishi is one whose antakarana or inner instrument is purified through discipline, reflection, and spiritual grounding. Whether he is delivering a budget, negotiating on global platforms, or lighting a Diwali diya at Downing Street, Sunak reflects the same qualities: self respect, humility, responsibility, and courage. A contemporary rishi is a role model who shows the world that ancient wisdom can guide modern success. This is exactly what Art of Living and Vedic Dhamma teach, integrating ancient knowledge with a dynamic worldly excellence. Now, how does the art of living perspective define a modern rishi in today's pressure filled world? Either from the art of living viewpoint, a rishi is someone whose mind remains unshaken despite turbulence. The world today is filled with constant digital noise, stress, deadlines, and emotional pressure. Yet a rishi walks with a smile. Why? Because the mind is rested. His Holiness Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankarji always says a rishi is one whose very presence uplifts the environment, not by power but by prana shakti, a calm nervous system, and a heart filled with compassion. Programs like the Happiness Program, Sudarshan Kriya Yoga, Sky Breath, Sahat Samadhi meditation, and DSN sharpen the mind, stabilize the emotions, and awaken intuitive intelligence. When a leader practices Kriya and meditation daily, decision making becomes sharper, responses become calmer, and intuition becomes the guiding compass. This is the secret behind Sunak's poise. He lives by discipline, clarity, and purpose. A modern rishi is not running away from the world, he is functioning in the world with an expanded mind. This is what the art of living tools cultivate: a leader who is peaceful inside and powerful outside. Now, why do you say Rishi Sunak's career reflects the principles of Dharma? The Dharma is not religion. Dharma is right conduct, the ability to maintain balance, fairness, and inner integrity no matter the circumstance. Sunak's career from Winchester to Oxford to Stanford, from Goldman Sachs to the UK Parliament reflects qualities of tapas, the discipline, the nishtha or the commitment, and nishkam karma, the duty without attachment. He did not rise out of privilege alone, but through effort, grit, and devotion to work. His ability to remain composed during a global economic crisis mirrors the dharmic quality of Sthita Pragya described in the Bhagavad Gita. Dharma is also about seva or service. His respect for family values, vegetarian lifestyle, temple visits, and taking oath on the Bhagavad Gita all reflect an inner grounding rarely seen in world leaders. This is what we call the Grahastha Rishi, one who lives in society but is inwardly connected to her principles. His success is not accidental, it is built upon clarity, concentration, and character, all pillars of Dharma. In this way, he becomes an example of how Sanatan wisdom can thrive even in the most modern professional landscapes. Now, how can the art of living practices help ordinary people achieve the same inner strength that high functioning leaders display? The art of living programs are designed to upgrade the human mind, just like software updates upgrade a device. For example, Sudarshan Kriya cleanses the emotional layers, Sahat Samadhi meditation deepens the rest, and Pranayama sharpens the focus. These techniques directly improve executive function, your ability to analyze complex situations, stay composed, and respond intelligently. Leaders like Sunak thrive because their minds are stable and clear. Stress, fear, and anxiety cloud judgment. Once the mind becomes lighter through regular kriya and meditation, you naturally become more productive, more intuitive, and more resilient. This is why CEOs, scientists, athletes, and even government officers take art of living practices seriously. Gurudev says success is 80% mind and 20% action. If the mind is aligned, success follows effortlessly. With a centered mind, you make fewer mistakes, communicate better, and inspire trust. That is what makes you a contemporary rishi in your own life, whether you are a teacher, a manager, a student, or a parent. Now, what role do Vedic circumstances, pujas, and homas play in shaping a modern rishi like mindset? The pujas and homas are not mere rituals, they are subtle energy engineering. A homa generates a specific vibrational field through mantras, intention, and sacred fire. Just as a person charges a mobile battery, homas charge a human mind and environment. For example, the Ganapati Homa removes obstacles, the Navagraha Homa aligns planetary influences, the Mahamrityunjaya Homa enhances health and resilience, the Saraswati Homa sharpens the intellect, and Lakshmi Homa attracts prosperity through clarity and righteous effort. When a person participates in these rituals, their mind becomes lighter, karmic burdens reduce, and inner confidence increases. This is why many successful professionals quietly maintain a spiritual routine. They understand the science of subtle strengths. Rishi Sunak performing temple rituals before major decisions is not superstition, it is energetic alignment. The Vedas describe that when the mind, environment, and intention are purified, the person becomes a channel of higher intelligence. That is the essence of being a modern rishi, acting from clarity, not confusion, purpose, not pressure. True pujas and homas, one gains the energy to live dharma with confidence. Now, many say that Rishi Sunak's calmness during crisis resembles the Rishi mind. What exactly is this state? The Rishi mind is a state of inner equanimity where thoughts exist but do not disturb, emotions rise but do not shake, external situations change but do not penetrate the core of one's awareness. His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji explains, a rishi has a mind like the sky. Clouds may pass, storms may come, but the sky remains untouched. During COVID, Sunak had to take massive economic decisions, furlough schemes, business grants, national budgets under extreme pressure. Yet his composure reflected a mind that is rested and disciplined. Art of living practices cultivate exactly this state. So Darshan Kriya clears the emotional turbulence, Sahat Samadhi deepens the inner silence, DSN strengthens the courage, and silence course refines the intuition. The Rishi mind is not born overnight, it is cultivated through sadhana, the practice, the seva, the selfless service, and satsang, the company of truth. When one lives with these three pillars, one naturally becomes calm, clear, and capable. A modern rishi is not someone who escapes problems, but one who faces them with a strong centered mind. This is the difference between ordinary success and enlightened success. The rishi mind is the inner engine behind clarity driven leadership. How does spiritual discipline support high academic achievements like Sunak's journey through Winchester, Oxford, and Stanford? Yeah, the spiritual discipline sharpens the mind like nothing else. When a student practices a pranayama, Gayatri Japa, meditation, or even participates in homas designed for intellect like Saraswati Homa, their concentration deepens, memory improves, their stress reduces, and intuitive problem solving increases. Academic brilliance is not just about hard work, it's about mental clarity and nervous system stability. Sunak's academic journey, a scholarship to Winchester, first class PPE at Oxford, Fulbright scholar at Stanford, reflects not just intelligence but tapas or inner discipline. Ancient rishis wrote the Upanishads through deep stillness. Modern learners excel through the same stillness. The brain functions best in a state of calm alertness, which meditation provides. Even a simple practice like Sudarshan Kriya increases oxygen, balances hormones, and enhances neuroplasticity. When stress drops, the intellect rises. That is why Gurukulas always combined academics with mantras and meditation. Education without inner grounding becomes information overload, but education with spiritual discipline becomes wisdom. This is how a modern rishi studies not with fear, but with joy, not with pressure, but with purpose. Spirituality makes the learning effortless. How can corporate leaders adopt the qualities of a rishi without leaving their careers? The Rishi does not have to renounce the world, he simply renounces the inner clutter. Corporate leaders often deal with rapid decision cycles, complex negotiations, and team dynamics. The art of living teaches leaders to first master their breath because breath controls the mind. When the breath is long and deep, the mind becomes spacious. When The breath is shallow, the mind becomes reactive. Leaders who meditate daily find that they communicate more effectively, listen more deeply, and innovate more effortlessly. The Vedic Dhammasana adds another dimension, energetic alignment through rituals. A Lakshmi Homa can bring clarity in financial decisions. A Ganapati Homa can remove team obstacles. A Rudra Homa can transform stress into strength. A corporate Rishi makes decisions not from fear but from intuition backed by clarity. Companies today hire mindfulness consultants. Sanatan Dharma had this science thousands of years ago. The secret is integrating sadhana into daily routine, 15 minutes of pranayama, 20 minutes of meditation, and weekly satsang. This transforms leadership from transaction to inspiration. A rishi in the corporate world is someone whose presence brings trust, calm, and direction, just like ancient sages guided kings. How does the concept of grahastha rishi apply to modern professionals and family people? Negative in Sanatan Dharma, there is a beautiful concept called Grahastha Rishi, a sage who lives within society, manages responsibilities, earns wealth, raises a family, and still remains rooted in spiritual wisdom. Rishi Sunak fits this perfectly. He is a family man, a professional, a leader, yet deeply connected to dharmic values. A Grihastha Rishi is not distracted by material life. He transforms material life into a vehicle for spiritual evolution through daily sadhana. He maintains the internal purity through seva. He cultivates compassion through rituals. He maintains energy through righteous earning. He upholds the dharma. The Vedic Dhammasansan teaches that the home itself is an ashram when lived with awareness. Pujas like Satyanarayan Katha, Satyanarayan Puja, Lakshmi Narayan Pujas, and Ganapati Puja harmonize the energies in the household. Art of living practices help balance emotions, reduce stress, and enhance harmony among family members. When the mind is settled, relationships deepen, success multiplies, and spiritual growth becomes effortless. A Grahastha Rishi is the bridge between ancient wisdom and modern life, showing that spirituality is not separate from success but its most powerful foundation. Now, what role does intuition play in the life of a modern Rishi like leader? The intuition is the crown jewel of leadership. Logic helps you navigate the known, intuition helps you leap into the unknown. Leaders like Sunak often make decisions where data is incomplete or contradictory. What guides them then? A silent inner intelligence or intuition. Gurudev says intuition is the ability to see beyond what the eyes can see. Art of living meditation increases alpha and theta brain waves associated with intuitive clarity. Silence courses remove the mental noise and blocks insights. Sudarshan Kriya detoxes the emotional layer so intuition can shine through. Nomadic rituals amplify sattva or the purity, which makes the mind receptive to higher guidance. When intuition awakens, a leader knows when to act, when to wait, and when to withdraw. Without confusion, ancient rishis received mantras through intuition, modern rishis receive strategies, innovations, and insights the same way. Intuition makes leadership graceful, effortless, and impactful. A Rishi like leader does not rely only on spreadsheets, he relies on an awakened consciousness. Now, how does the Sanatan Dharma define true success, and how does this relate to Rishi Sunak's life journey? In Sanatan Dharma, success is described as a harmonious blend of Artha, the prosperity, the Dharma, the righteousness, the Kama, the fulfillment, and Moksha, the liberation. When these four balance, the person becomes a Rishi like achiever, outwardly successful, inwardly serene. Rishi Sunak's journey reflects this balance. His academic excellence, the Artha, his disciplined work ethic, the Dharma, the devotion to family, the Kama, and cultural grounding, the Moksha create a complete model of modern and holistic success. Now, Sanatan Dharma never rejected material progress. It only insisted that progress must be rooted in consciousness. Art of living programs help individuals cultivate inner clarity so that outer achievements do not cause the inner turbulence. The Vedic circumstances, homas, and pujas strengthen the environment with sattva, helping one remain aligned with dharma even while pursuing ambition. A successful modern rishi is not someone who has no desires, but someone whose desires are refined, elevated, and guided by higher wisdom. When success comes with humility, responsibility, and spiritual connection, it becomes auspicious. This is why Gurudev often says success that comes from a calm mind is sustainable. Success that comes from stress is fragile. True success is inner expansion, manifesting in outer accomplishment. Now, why do some people achieve great heights quickly while others struggle? Is there a spiritual explanation? Yes, Jagardev in Sanatan Dharma, destiny is shaped by three forces: the Prakriti, the one's is nature, the Purushartha, one's is effort, and proud of the karma past momentum. Some individuals are born with strong karmic momentum that makes excellence feel natural, but karma is never a fixed effort and consciousness can transform it. Practices like Sudarshan Kriya remove deep emotional impressions. Meditation refines the inner patterns. Seva dissolves the ego. Homas purify the karmic layers. These tools accelerate a person's destiny, helping them rise faster with less resistance. Rishi Sunak achieved academic and professional milestones rapidly because his inner system, whether by upbringing, discipline, or karmic momentum, was aligned and clear. Yet anyone can create the same alignment. That is the power of sadhana. When prana is high, clarity increases. When clarity increases, decisions improve. When decisions improve, life accelerates. The Vedic texts say, Kriya Siddhi Bhavati, actions succeed when aligned with sattva and sincerity. Struggle comes when mind and energy are scattered. Rapid growth comes when both are centered. Spirituality does not remove the hard work, but it multiplies its impact. That is why the modern life needs ancient tools more than ever before. Now, can spirituality help in high pressure financial careers like investment banking, hedge funds, and policy making? Absolutely, these fields demand intense focus, quick decision making, and emotional stability, qualities that spiritual practices directly strengthen. The financial world is unpredictable, markets rise and fall like waves. A spiritually anchored mind is like a lighthouse in that storm. Rishi Sunak's early work at Goldman Sachs and later at hedge funds required the ability to stay rational even when the environment was volatile. A person who meditates can detach from emotional noise and analyze objectively. Sudarshan Kriya regulates cortisol and increases mental resilience. Sahat Samadhi meditation deepens the rest, allowing the brain to reset fully. Even Ganapati Homa or Navgraha Homa brings balance to subtle energies affected by stress, competition, and uncertainty. Vedic wisdom teaches that wealth earned through a sattvic mind becomes sustainable and beneficial. A person who is spiritually grounded makes ethical decisions, treats team members humanly and humanely, and avoids burnout. Spirituality does not make professionals passive, it makes them powerful without aggression, decisive without anxiety, and successful without losing the inner peace. That is what the world today calls the conscious leadership, but Sanatan Dharma calls it the Rishi Dharma thousands of years ago. Now, how can young people who admire Rishi Sunak cultivate the similar clarity and discipline? The young people today face distractions unimaginable in the past: social media overload, peer pressure, academic stress, and career uncertainty. Yet the human mind remains the same. It blooms with discipline and crumbles with scattered attention. To cultivate clarity like Sunak, youth need three habits: daily breath work like Sudarshan Kriya, daily silence, and daily purpose. Art of Living's youth programs, YLTP and Yes Plus teach powerful pranayamas and meditation techniques that reduce anxiety and sharpen the focus. This 15 to 20 minutes of Sudarshan Kriya, the short version, can improve emotional balance. The Vedic Dhammasana encourages simple pujas like lighting a lamp, chanting a shloka, or offering gratitude. These small acts align the mind with a higher energy, disciplined study routine, healthy lifestyle, respect for parents, and service oriented mindset create an internal foundation that pushes a young person naturally toward excellence. Sunak's journey shows that clarity comes from consistency. When a student starts their day with breathwork and ends with reflection or mantra chanting, their mind becomes refined. With such a mind, academic success, career opportunities, and leadership qualities flow effortlessly. Youth do not need to imitate Sunak, they need to awaken the Rishi within themselves. Now, is it possible to combine wealth, power, and spirituality without conflict? Yes, this is exactly what a modern rishi represents. Wealth is not the problem, attachment is. Power is not the danger, ego is. Spirituality teaches one to use wealth responsibly and power humbly. In the Vedic age, kings like Janaka ruled empires with immense wealth, yet they were enlightened. Today, leaders like Sunak manage economic and political responsibilities while maintaining cultural identity and personal values. Out of living practices remove inner greed, insecurity, and comparison, the real causes of conflict. When the mind is abundant, wealth becomes a tool for good, not a burden. Homas like the Lakshmi Homa invoke abundance with purity. Rudra Homa strengthens courage and clarity for decision making. Spirituality teaches the inner detachment plus outer efficiency. This combination allows a leader to enjoy prosperity without being dominated by it. Gurudev says, be dynamic in action and still in the self. When the balance is achieved, the wealth does not corrupt, power does not blind, and success does not isolate. Instead, life becomes a harmonious expression of dharma. This is the true meaning of living as a contemporary rishi. Now, in many global discussions, people describe Rishi Sunak as both a modern leader and a deeply rooted spiritual individual. From your perspective, how do these two aspects coexist within him? And what lessons does this offer to today's youth? When people say Rishi Sunak is a modern leader with a spiritual core, they are pointing to something very important, the integration. He is someone who operates in the most demanding spaces: global economics, geopolitics, national policy, yet he carries within him a grounding drawn from dharma, meditation, and cultural samskaras. This is not about rituals alone, it's about inner stability. His Holiness Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji often says, when you are centered, you respond, you don't react. Sunak's decision making style reflects this: calm, deliberate, and anchored. The youth today are overstimulated, restless, and burdened by comparison. A leader like Sunak demonstrates that modern success need not conflict with the inner spiritual alignment. In fact, one strengthens the other. In the Vedic tradition, a rishi is not someone who runs away from the world. A rishi is one who sees clearly, who leads with clarity, compassion, and responsibility. Rishi Sunak, though functioning in politics, embodies traits of this archetype: respect for family, discipline, gratitude toward culture, and ethical intent. The lesson to youth is simple: rootedness is not a limitation, it is your backbone. True modernity is not about abandoning your identity, it's about expressing it confidently in the global arena. Now, people often say Rishi Sunak balances wealth, power, and humility effortlessly. What spiritual foundation allows a leader to maintain such inner balance even at the peak of political and economic responsibility? A leader like Rishi Sunak demonstrates that external achievements mean nothing without inner steadiness. Despite being one of the wealthiest political leaders in Europe, his conduct reflects discipline, humility, and restraint, traits clearly rooted in samskaras and spiritual grounding. He fasts on Hindu festivals, performs a Ganesh Chaturthi puja, visits temples during official tours, and carries a small Gita in his pocket during key political moments. These are not mere symbols, they create the inner space. His Holiness Gurudev Shri Sri Ravi Shankarji always says, when the inner world is pure, the outer world aligns. Sunak's leadership style reflects this clarity, data driven decisions, long term thinking, respect for advisors, and emotional maturity under pressure. In Vedic philosophy, the wealth of the Artha is not opposed to Dharma. When Artha supports responsibility, generosity, and integrity, it becomes a force for good. Sunak says charity contributions, commitment to public service, and support for educational institutions show this alignment. His disciplined fitness routine, meditation like a morning silence, focus on the family time, respect for elders, and adherence to Hindu ethics demonstrate that spirituality is not withdrawal, it is a rightful action. This balance is the mark of a Grahastha Rishi, one who leads by example while fulfilling the worldly duties. Now, however, Rishi Sunak's educational journey shaped his clarity, leadership, and spiritual maturity. Many youths admire his academic excellence, but what deeper lessons lie behind it? His path from Winchester College, a scholar to Oxford PPE, graduate to Stanford MBA, as a Fulbright scholar is a message that excellence is not born from pressure but from inner enthusiasm. Students often ask how he remained focused despite competition. The answer lies in sattva, a mind that is calm, can absorb, reflect, and innovate. Sunak has openly said that a discipline and quiet morning routines helped him concentrate. This is consistent with yogic principles. The calmer the mind, the sharper the intellect. Gurudev says meditation enhances both clarity and creativity. Sunak's finance career at Goldman Sachs and hedge funds required exactly this combination. Vedic knowledge speaks of Buddhi Yoga, the disciplined application of intellect with the ethical direction. Sunak embodies this. He treats learning as a lifelong process, reading economic journals daily, studying historical policy models, and reflecting before decision making. His respect for teachers, mentors, and cultural heritage shows the Vedic ideal that knowledge must remain rooted in humility. Youth must observe that his education is not just academic triumph, but a spiritual discipline of sharpening the mind while purifying the intention. Now, Rishi Sunak's devotion to family life is often praised. How does Vedic wisdom interpret his approach to marriage, parenting, and family dharma? Modern leadership often glorifies workaholism, but Sunak represents a balanced model. He prioritizes evenings with his daughters, shares household responsibilities, supports his wife's career achievements, and maintains deep respect for both families. Gurudev says spirituality begins at home. The way Sunak integrates cultural rituals like Raksha Bandhan, Diwali, and Masmi with his children is a reflection of transmitting values through lived experience. His affectionate, grounded presence creates emotional stability not only for his family but also for his leadership decisions. In Vedic Dharma, the Grihastha Ashrama is considered the backbone of society. A leader who honors family dharma naturally gains clarity, compassion, and balance. Sunak's respectful behavior toward his elders, his commitment to vegetarian days during festivals, his support for traditional teachings, and his disciplined financial transparency all reflect this grounding. His ability to remain and maintain an unshakable calm even during political storms shows the emotional resilience that comes from a stable home life. In our text, this stability is called the samskara prabhava, the power of sacred upbringing. Sunak's family life teaches that modernity and tradition can coexist with dignity and joy. Now, many see Sunak as a bridge between Indian wisdom and Western governance. How does he represent this dual heritage in practical leadership? He stands in a unique position, a global leader shaped by British education, but deeply rooted in Hindu philosophy. His respect for diversity, his emphasis on community harmony, and his calm crisis management style reflect the yogic principles during economic emergencies. He remained composed, solution focused, and dignified, a sign of inner mastery. Gurudev often highlights that a leader must be firm yet compassionate. Sunak exemplifies this balance with his evidence based policy decisions paired with empathetic public communication. Now, Sunak's public expression of dharma, taking oath on the Bhagavad Gita, visiting temples during diplomatic tours, offering prayers at ISKCON London, lighting Diwali diyas on Downing Street, sends a message that cultural roots strengthen the leadership rather than weaken it. At the same time, his economic reforms, trade negotiations, and digital innovation policies reflect the Western analytical precision. This synthesizes mirrors the Vedic ideal of Yugana Rupa Dharma, or the Dharma expressed according to the needs of the age. He is proof that one can be modern, global, and deeply spiritual simultaneously. Now, leadership today demands emotional intelligence. How does Rishi Sunak cultivate emotional balance, and what role does spirituality play? Rishi Sunak practices silence in the mornings, avoids reactive decision making, and maintains disciplined routines, all hallmarks of yogic lifestyle. Emotional intelligence arises when the mind is not clouded. His ability to listen patiently, engage respectfully in debates, treat criticism with calmness, and avoid personal attacks shows a meditative temperament. Gurudev says when the breath is steady, the mind becomes steady. Sunak reportedly uses breathwork based calming techniques before high pressure meetings, a scientifically supported approach. The Vedic texts describe Asthita Pragya, one whose wisdom remains steady even amidst chaos. Sunak's leadership often reflects the state, whether facing political opposition, economic crisis, or international tension. He responds with clarity rather than emotional turbulence. His grounding in Hindu values such as Shama, the patience, the Shaucham, or the purity of intention, the Dhamma, or the self control, and Dhriti, or the inner resolve, makes him resilient. This emotional balance is not accidental, it is cultivated through samskaras, family culture, disciplined habits, and spiritual ethics. Today's youth can learn from him that emotional intelligence is not merely a soft skill, it is a spiritual quality refined through practice. Now, Rishi Sunak is often admired for his ability to remain disciplined and consistent in high pressure environments. How does this reflect the Vedic principle of tapas and self discipline? The discipline is the foundation of Sunak's rise from being a head boy at Winchester, excelling in A levels, editing the school magazine, graduating first class from Oxford PPE to earning a Stanford MBA through a Fulbright scholarship. His entire journey reflects tapas. Tapas in the art of film tradition means maintaining consistent effort, clarity, and purity in intention. His Holiness Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankarji teaches that true discipline is joyful, not oppressive. Sunak embodies this in morning silence, strict work routines, listening without interruption, and strong family values. and remaining composed even as chancellor during COVID show the inner steadiness. His major achievements designing the furlough scheme, managing global financial portfolios, shaping economic reforms came from years of mental training and discipline taught. In Vedic Dharma, tapas is not just physical austerity, it is focus, integrity, and the ability to act without wavering. Sunak's commitment to public service, his promise based work style, his detailed policy reading habits, his respect for traditions like Diwali Puja, Gita oath taking, temple visits during state trips, and conservative lifestyle choices show this even when facing political turbulence, resigning as a chancellor or leading the nation after trust's crisis. He demonstrated the tapas of staying grounded. His life proves that success is built on inner life, inner fire, not outer pressure. Okay, good.